Seeing as we lost 45 ewes dead, buried, we would expect 1.5% of those, you know, which would be 65 or 70 lambs. And then, of course, there's the lambs from the ewes that aborted after being dug out of the snow. We've lost those as well, so we're getting in the figure of 100 lambs lost.
Well, what do you reckon that's cost you altogether?
Well, we like to think our lambs this year anyway made £25 a piece. So we have to. There's £2,500 worth of lambs gone with, let alone the cost of the 50 ewes, which I value at £50 each, at least.
Will you get compensation for that?
Well, at the moment, we're hoping.
Reports keep coming in, but the latest reports that we have are that since November, we've lost 22,000 sheep, 800 cattle, 400 pigs.
Following a statement in Parliament a month after the blizzard, the then Minister of Agriculture, John Silkin, met the press. Journalists wanted to know what compensation the government was going to pay.
Well, it simply never has been the case that government has paid compensation for acts of God, as the insurance company calls them, though some people might call them by different names sometimes when they look around. But that has always been the principle. Nor are we paying compensation, nor are we proposing to pay compensation now. What we have said is we are prepared to make a contribution and to help to the greatest extent we possibly can. But that's a very different matter from compensation as such. But to what extent it'll work out depends very much on what the final total is going to be.
As the seasons revolved, the first actual money the sheep farm received was the cheque from the wool sales. But even over midsummer, there was the shadow of midwinter. When the sheep were shorn and the wool baled up and sent to nearby Bampton, the ordeal the flock had suffered was plain to see on every fibre of every fleece.
Regarding our wool clip this year, we found it quite disappointing, really. I think, well, the main reason being the blizzard which we had. All the older used fleeces were downgraded because of bad staple and a break in the staple, which obviously was because of the bad time they had during the snow. Whereas if it had been a decent year with those extra ewe hogs, we would have been up by £300 or £400. As it was, our wool check came back something over 1,000.
Yours else to the flock, Master and Mrs. and all the lot. Pray God save them all.
Not want to drink a beer, honey.
The sheep farmer has only 3 sources of income: money from the sale of wool, from the sale of surplus sheep at market, but primarily from the sale of fat lambs direct to local abattoirs.
We sell most of our lambs privately to a local butcher. Our lamb's been working out about £27 a head this year, average. I suppose it's quite good.
You've seen these through the blizzard. You've seen them, many of them, in very difficult berths. Don't you feel a little bit sad seeing them like this, a bit sentimental?
Oh no, sentimentality don't come into it. I'm a farmer. This is what I look for, the end product. You know, if I can turn out a good lamb that suits the butcher and consequently the housewife, this is what I'm doing it all about, you know. Oh no, I don't think we must be sentimental. I kill 400 of them, or I should be crying all the time, wouldn't I?
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Last March, after discussions that I'd had with the National Farmers Union, they decided...
In March, John Silkin had promised help, but it was a full 6 months after the blizzard before he was able to say what that help amounted to.
I think the unions have done an extremely good job. They've raised, I think, over £110,000 for this fund. This has been one of the best features of it, I think. What we have felt was that on the basis of the broad estimates, we could promise £300,000 to the livestock fund from the EC money. That's for Great Britain, England, Scotland and Wales. I think I originally said when I first discussed the scheme with you in March, it was about March, wasn't it? Sometime like that, that the way you do it is to take 10% of a herd and or flock and disregard, because that's very broadly, it may vary from parts of the country, but it doesn't really matter. It works itself out in general terms. That would be a sort of loss that in normal circumstances, if there are such things, people might be expected to suffer during the winter. So you take that 10% off, and then you start counting above that. That's a kind of de minimis provision, and I think it's a reasonable one. We've agreed the criteria for assistance with the farmers' unions, and we're now inviting farmers to make their claims in the next, really 3 weeks. We want those claims in by the 25th of August. We want that done. That's part of the reason for the August 25th date, that we want them to be able to do it in time for the autumn sales and to receive their cheques.
The ministry did say that, or make this rule, that the farmer had to bear the first 10% of his losses, which they considered was the average amount of loss per year of sheep farmers. 10% of their breeding flock. Well, this, if we lost 10% of our breeding flock every year, we would be out of business. I feel I've done badly when I lose 5% of my flock of an ordinary year. Well, administration being what it is, it didn't come until the end of October or beginning of November, I think, if I remember rightly. But we had to replace our stock, so we went ahead and done it, even if we had to borrow some money from the bank to do it. Set us back at least £50 a piece, I should think. £1,500. Still, best to buy young ewes. They'll stand the winter better than the older ones. And you got them for longer anyway.
Yeah, we just don't want another winter like the last one.
You can say that again.
20 mixed black faces, 25 grand left. What time going? 550. 550. Second year, Tom. 5 pounds. Second year, full wife, gentlemen. How good are you?
31, I bid 31 and a half now. At 31 pound a half or not. I sell them away mine at 31 pound 1 half or not. Eric Hancock, 31. 57 half. 57 half, I bid 58 for the 8, I bid 58 for the 8 for the 8 and a half.
60 pound on there down there.
58 half, I bid 58 half. Right now for Mr. Harold Stevens, gentlemen, the Dumfries consignment this. Come on.
It's fair yours, you know.
Gentlemen, put these titties in, 50 pounds.
48. 48.
48, 48, I bid 48, 48, I bid 48, 48. 51 half, 2. 52, I bid 52 and a half. At 52 pounds, still in place, mine. At 52 half, 52 half, I bid 52 half.
Shall I go again?
52 half, no 3. 1 half or not. Eric Hancock, 34.
We had to buy 60 ewes this year. We only had to bought about 20 ewes this year if it hadn't been for this blizzard thing, which come and hit us so hard. We paid just over £50 a piece for them on an average, which when you add it up is £3,000. Quite a sum really, for which was unexpected. We'll fill it. This is marking fluid.
Yeah.
Ram marking fluid, so as that when the ram serves the ewe, it leaves the mark on the ewe's back, so that we know the week that she's due to lamb in. You see?
So
and also that she's been to ram.
And that's a sort of darkish green.
This is a darkish green, and we change the colour after a week, so as we can tell the different weeks that the ewes are due to lamb in, you see. And we know that the ones that are marked green on the backs will be first week ewes.
And they'll be lambing when?
They'll be lambing the first week in March, and then they'll lamb through until the end of March.
And that's absolutely accurate, is it?
Well, pretty accurate, yes. Yes, it's a short gestation period of 21 weeks, so there's not much. They don't vary much. They lamb within a week of when they should.
He's a fine fellow, isn't he?
Yes, he's okay. I must mark the other two a minute. This is a Dorset Down ram. Those are Dorset Horn. Tend to put the Dorset Horn rams with the black-faced ewes.
Why is that?
To throw a nice grey-faced lamb that will fat quick for the butcher.
How long does that anointing last?
Well, for the first fortnight we put it on every day. Depends a bit on the weather. If it's dry, it soon dries away. If it's wet, it stays okay. This one seems to have got other ideas.
He's had to wait 11 months, hasn't he, for this?
Yes, well, he can wait another 5 minutes. Well then, we got a nickname for this one. We call him Sebastian. But why we call him Sebastian, I don't know, but that's his nickname. He's a bit of a lad with the ladies, I think. He hasn't really had much practice yet, but every appearance of so. Oh, chap. Right, we'll turn those up to the top with that lot of blackfish ewes in. Sit down, you boy. Come on, fellas. Come on, chap. Yeah, I know, they're all coming out. Quickly, Rob. Now that's more like it, you see? And there he goes again. Seems to make more of a feast of it than the other ram, doesn't he?
Certainly does.
Well, that's the boy I'm looking for.
There he goes again.
A slow starter, you see, but once he gets the feel of things...
There's a little rivalry there, all right. The other rams just chased him off.
Yeah, well, he's a little bit like that, isn't he?
He is.
He's a bit of the boss. But give him a couple of days with that lot of ewes, it'll take the chasing out of him. He'll be glad to lie down directly. There's enough ewes there for to satisfy the lot without fighting over one.
Maybe she's very attractive, though.
Well, I can't answer that at the moment.
We shall be contributing up to some £300,000 from the funds you mentioned from the government side. So we've obviously got something over £400,000 that we're really talking about.
When finally all the statistics and all the civil servants were collected together under one roof, it was a simple question of arithmetic. The total sum raised divided by the toll of dead animals.
How much are you? Because we might want to keep a little bit back too for contingencies. You never know. Some farmer might discover that his figures are wrong. But £23 a ewe would seem to come out to something like the right amount.
We received £736 compensation. It was you know, we were happy with it when it came. We didn't think all through the summer that we would get anything because things seemed to go quiet and nothing happened. But it came as a little help. Yes, well, it didn't compensate for 45 dead ewes under the snow, but it did help a bit. We just paid £2,500 probably to replace them, and £736 is better than nothing. The lambs, we sold about 400 lambs at £27 a piece. We get the subsidy, which is £2.85 a ewe, which comes to about 1,000 in our case, and something just over 1,000 for our wool, which was down again this time. Somewhere in the region of £12,000 our total income for our ewes this year. But if you take into account everything that we have to spend, at least a half or 2/3 of that figure is taken up in expense.
A year ago, you used the word disaster. Looking back now, do you think you were justified in using such a strong word?
Well, having had time to think about this, and a year gone past, things haven't turned out too badly for us. No, perhaps I did use too strong a word, disaster. But at the time when we were speaking there in the field, when I was digging out those sheep and finding them one after the other dead, and I could have found half my flock dead in under those drifts. We did find a lot of them alive. It seemed a disaster to me then, but having had time to think, no, I feel that perhaps disaster is too strong a word for just this type of setback.
Do you think farmers tend to exaggerate when things go wrong, and we should treat what they say a bit with a pinch of salt?
Oh, no, I don't think farmers exaggerate. I feel there's times they're justified their grumbles, you know. Let's face it, they work under fairly difficult conditions, especially at times like this. You've seen us there. It was freezing and up to our backsides in snow. And we were literally tired out. And no, I don't think we grumble for nothing.